What's up guys, Mickle here, and Gary Gensler might have just gotten himself into some pretty big trouble in regards to what crypto cases he wants to bring in the future. We know that the SEC is currently on a warpath, trying to bring as many cryptocurrency related cases as possible. I want to show you a potentially drastic mistake he just made that could prevent him from bringing any crypto cases going forward. This is something you are going to need to see. I also want to talk about towards the end of this video whether or not we are going to get any clarity in regards to secondary market sales of XRP from the current Ripple SEC case. The lawyer who wrote the Cynthia Lummis crypto bill made a statement earlier that we might not get clarity on secondary sales in the current case. In this video, I want to break that down and let you guys know whether I think he is right. Make sure to stick around for that. Last of all, at the end of the video, we're going to break down the current market conditions. A lot of people are saying we have a massive bear market ahead of us. I want to show you why that might not be true and some signs that are showing me the bottom is already in. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below and turn on bell notifications. These three simple things are going to go such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. With that said though, let's jump right into it right after a quick word from the sponsor of this video. Now, while typically on this channel we focus on long-term investing, it's important to note that you can make some awesome profits trading the crypto market as well. Now, for a lot of people, trading can seem daunting, but that's why I love Bybit's copy trading feature that allows you to copy some of the most successful traders in the market. Now, Bybit has added some awesome features to this product to keep you as safe as possible. What they have is something called a smart copy mode that will make sure your portfolio is no more exposed than the master trader you're copying. So for example, if the master trader you are copying is putting in a trade that accounts for 1% of his portfolio, your exposure to that trade will only be 1% of your portfolio as well. This makes sure that all your trades are scaled relatively to the master trader you are copying. They also have a feature that I think is very important called Copy Guard, and this is going to make sure you don't get entered into any trades at a worse price than the master trader. These are some awesome steps Bybit is taking to make sure they have the best copy trading product on the market, and if you sign up using the link in the description of this video, they are going to help fund your account, so make sure to check that out before the promotion is over. So as you can probably see, I'm trying to experiment with some new ways to create these videos. I have a better camera coming in. I'm just trying to improve the overall quality, so let me know if you guys like it. I think this looks a lot better. I think the mic is sounding better. I'm sure you could tell the difference between the intro and the ad I did. Anyway though, let's jump into it, and I want to start out with a pretty big mistake that Gary Gensler might have just made, because this is pretty shocking, and this just shows you how far ahead the Ripple team really is in front of the SEC. Seems like every single time the SEC makes a move, Ripple is 10 steps ahead, and I want to show you a great example of that right here. So the other day, in a pretty bold move, Gary Gensler came out and made the assertion that every single cryptocurrency on the market outside of Bitcoin is a security. Gary Gensler's strategy in doing this was likely to try to get as many different cryptocurrency companies to come in and register their token as possible, and overall it seemed like a fear tactic to try to get as many people in the industry to come in and talk as possible. Now, what is so funny about this is it looks like this could have been a massive mistake, because Stuart Alderoty, the chief legal officer at Ripple, actually came out with a very interesting perspective on this, and it turns out that according to a previous Supreme Court case, what Gary Gensler did here might put serious limitations on his power. Now, what this Supreme Court case says is that an SEC chair cannot come in and make a predetermination on an enforcement action before it's voted on by the commission. So Gary Gensler coming out and saying that every single token out there is a security is actually front running the commission, because technically the commission is supposed to vote on whether or not to bring an enforcement action. By Gary Gensler coming out and saying that every single token is already guilty of violating securities laws, he's essentially front running the commission and essentially admitting that he is biased to a certain outcome. What this means, according to this Supreme Court case, is technically this should prevent Gary Gensler from being able to vote on future enforcement actions. Based on this Supreme Court case, Gary Gensler should have to recuse himself of voting on future enforcement actions because he's essentially already come out and admitted it doesn't matter about the facts and circumstances of this token. I'm going to say it's a security because that's my belief. Now, this is a very interesting angle by Stuart Alderati, and it just shows that the Ripple legal team is always one step ahead of Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler probably thought he was making a bold move by coming out and saying, all these tokens are securities, come in and register, and it turned out that that move might backfire on him big time. Now, unfortunately, Gary Gensler is not one to care about the rules. I highly doubt this one tweet from Stuart Alderati is really going to stop Gary Gensler from voting on future enforcement actions. What we need in order for this to take place is we need action by Congress. We need Congress to step in and start holding Gary Gensler accountable so that he actually has to follow the rules that are supposed to be putting limitations on his agency. So far, despite a massive amount of talk out of the party that's currently in control of the House, we really haven't seen any action to hold Gary Gensler accountable. Until this happens, Gary Gensler has no reason to stay within his bounds. Right now, he's getting away with it, and I'm sure he's going to keep trying to get away with it. Until we see Gary Gensler held responsible, and I have been saying this forever now, he's going to keep breaking the rules. He's going to keep overstepping his boundaries because why wouldn't he? No one's going to stop him, and he's gotten away with almost every overstep he has taken. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I have been reaching out to a lot of people inside DC and trying to get a gauge on whether or not the party in charge of the House is actually going to step up and hold him accountable. What I have been hearing is yes, they will. It's just taking longer than they have expected. So I'm going to keep putting pressure on them to get the ball rolling. But until then, we unfortunately just have to wait. And hopefully Gary Gensler will be forced to conform to this Supreme Court ruling, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Now I want to move on and talk about a clip that's been floating around because the lawyer who actually wrote Cynthia Lummis's crypto bill was actually in an interview, and in that interview he stated that he doesn't think that the current Ripple SEC case is necessarily going to give clarity to secondary holders. Now I actually had a chance to talk to this guy. He is an amazing dude, super nice, and from my understanding it just doesn't seem like he has as firm of a grasp on this case as other people who have been following it like John Deaton. Now, from my understanding, we will get a ruling on secondary sales from this case. The whole reason that Judge Torres let John Deaton into this case was to make a ruling on secondary sales. Essentially, the only reason John Deaton was let into this case is to bring up the topic of secondary sales. If Judge Torres felt uncomfortable with making a ruling on these secondary sales, she would have never let John Deaton into the case. Letting John Deaton into the case would have been a massive mistake by Judge Torres if she didn't want to make a ruling on secondary sales. That's because John Deaton obviously would have just created a massive distraction, especially because of the fact that he brought in 75,000 XRP holders. When Judge Torres made the decision to bring John Deaton into this case, she likely already accepted the fact that she was going to have to make a ruling on secondary sales. Now, outside of a crazy event that we cannot forecast, I think it's pretty safe to say that we will get a ruling on secondary sales. Judge Torres is a judge who cares about transparency. She cares about retail holders, and she is not going to let retail holders go through this 3-year-long court case without coming out with any clarity. In my own personal opinion, the second John Deaton was allowed into this case, that was the second we found out we were gonna get a ruling on secondary sales. I think it is extremely unlikely that we leave this case without any clarity on secondary sales, and I actually think that has the highest probability of getting resolved via summary judgment. There are other parts of this case that I think could go to trial, some parts of this case that could end via a settlement, but when it comes down to the status of XRP itself, I think because of John Deaton, it is extremely likely we are going to get clarity on that front, and that is massive news because that is going to make XRP the first cryptocurrency in the US market with legal clarity through the courts. And I want to finish this video off and do a quick segment on where we currently are in the market, because I see so many people expecting new lows, expecting a prolonged bear market, but what I'm seeing right now is that view is becoming consensus. I retweeted a Tom Nash video earlier today, and for those of you who don't know Tom Nash, he is a very big YouTuber in the retail space, and essentially every single one of his videos, every single one of the videos of the other major YouTubers are all saying, get ready for new lows in the stock market. Now, we can certainly see new lows in the market, but typically retail is wrong. Typically retail is off sides. Right now, all these big YouTubers are waiting for a capitulation moment in the stock market. With all these people expecting that to happen, my bet is it doesn't happen. My bet is these guys are going to be waiting forever for the next market dip, and meanwhile, the market is just going to keep climbing higher. All of these people are waiting for a systemic market event, but the charts are telling us that's just not the case, and that's not what we're seeing right now. If we take a look at the financial stress index in the market right now, we can see we're at all-time lows. We don't see a lot of stress in the market right now, and that is something we need to pay attention to. Some people just want to ignore indicators like this and say, it's going to happen, but the fact of the matter is, we're not seeing the data to tell us it's going to happen. Now, until I see a change in any of this, until I see retail get optimistic, until I see stress entering the market, I don't see a real reason to be bearish. Now, there is a ton of stuff that can change in the future. I just want to point out right now, the contrarian view is not that the market is going to go down. The contrarian view is that the market's going to go up. Most of retail think there are new lows ahead of us. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.